How to answer the why you want to be a doctor interview question. Hey, BMO Nation, welcome to another episode of our One Question podcast. My name is Ronza, a senior admissions expert here at BMO, and I am joined with my colleague Meng Yang, who is another senior admissions expert here. Now, we are not here to sell you anything, it's just pure strategies, so everyone has equal to access to education, of course. Now, in case you've never watched or listened to one of these before, they are completely unscripted. There's no fancy visuals or audio or anything of that nature. It is just pure content. Now we have 10 minutes to tackle a new topic each week. And this week's topic is the how to answer the why you want to be a doctor interview question. So I'm going to set myself up and 10 minutes begin now. Okay, Mang. So I know that this is one question that every student I have seen panics about, whether that's over rehearsing, not thinking it's sincere enough or personalized to their story, or it's not, I didn't make the answer as strong as it should be, which is, obviously very subjective. Everyone's story and their journey is just that, their story and their journey can't really be compared. But there are ways to certainly organize your thought and be strategic and be effective and put that best first impression of why you truly want to pursue medicine. Man, can you kick this off? What are the basic things every student needs to know about how to tackle this type of interview question?
Well, let's start with, kind of categorizing it. It's what we call a personal question. It's one that is asked very commonly you'll probably see it in most of the interviews that you get. And it's an important question, not just for the interviewers to know, but also for yourself to know about yourself, whether this is truly the thing that you want to pursue. Now, some basics about how to approach this question is, first of all, don't list off everything that you've ever experienced that has to do with your passions about the profession that you're going into, in this case, medicine. You'll want to actually identify at most, maximum, 3 key aspects of the profession that you're interested in. Or the other way to approach this is to identify 3 key experiences in your life that brought you to this point of applying to become a doctor. Okay. Once you've done that, for each of those 3 aspects of being a physician that you like, or each of those 3 experiences, you want to give a personal example. You want to talk about the takeaways you got from that as it relates to your motivations for pursuing medicine. And that's basically it in a nutshell. You want to give examples, you want to be concise. You don't want to go over 3 points because the interviewer won't be able to remember anything. If you go over that point, psychologically, we're not able to kind of retain more than 3 pieces of information at a time.
So okay, that's great. That gives the students a compass of what they should really kind of consider. But Meg, I know that most of the students will kind of say, well, wait a minute. Like I have so many different types of experiences, and I think that they're all amazing and that they should all be mentioned because they all attributed to my decision. And, I wrote this entire personal statement about it. And I really just want to talk about all these things because all of them shine a different skill or quality, and they all attribute to that. So how do I go about that? How can I really simplify this huge monumental decision into what you said, up to 3 experiences? Like, how can a student go about doing that?
Well, one of the things I always recommend to students is thinking about 3 experiences that are diverse, or that helps you to highlight different traits about yourself, what makes you suitable for the profession, or different aspects of the profession that you enjoy. So if you have a number of clinical experiences, for example, I would not make all of my examples clinical examples because you're then restricting yourself in terms of what you could express in your answer. You're probably going to focus on just that one aspect of medicine, interacting with patients, maybe with your colleagues, where there might be a lot of other aspects of medicine that draw you to being a doctor. Maybe there's the teaching aspect, maybe there's the advocacy aspect, or maybe you have a lot of other skills like research skills, which also goes into academic medicine, which could potentially help you to stand out as a candidate that you're not able to highlight by just including clinical experiences. So diversifying your answer is one way to narrow down the number of experiences. You can choose the best ones from different categories that you might have.
I completely agree with that. One other thing that I would probably stress, and I've always stressed when I was helping students with, organizing their thoughts with this, is honestly, you can even see it in moments of decision making. So a moment that you're first curious about medicine, as being a doctor, whether that's childhood or even later on, like in your first university course, and it's bio 101, and you're like, whoa, like I just loved when the teacher or the professor was mentioning this, and I had a conversation with her and I was able to learn more about this topic. And secondly, you could do moment of confirmation, whether that's observing, right? Sometimes that happens in a clinical setting. Sometimes that happens in a research setting. Sometimes that happens, indirectly, being a part of an association, seeing the impact of advocating or, educating individuals, and realizing that that was a moment that confirmed this journey for you. And then reaffirmation, another moment that really solidified that this is truly for you. And again, that it happens in different ways for everybody, but I think organizing your thought in those three categories: the moment you're curious, the moment that you confirmed it, and then the moment that you reaffirmed it, be it observing or interacting yourself with patients. I think those can also help guide you. And as Meng mentioned, diversifying it is also critical, and not to be strategic, but it's critical because it's developed you in one way or another, and you want to showcase how you've developed in multiple different ways. All right, so we have just less than 4 minutes, but I think, Meng, the best way to kind of demonstrate everything you just mentioned is probably to go through an example and, let everyone kind of see it implemented. Could you give us an example of why you want to be a doctor? I guess maybe I'll just frame it in a question, so then you can just respond as if a student would. And bear in mind, this isn't something that people should write notes. Everyone has their own journey, but just to follow that structure that Meng mentioned earlier of identifying up to 3, no more, because then you're, excessively talking and people forget after 5 minutes anyways, but putting your best foot forward, being concise, being respectful of time, elaborating on skills, and then tying it all back to your future, which is hopefully to become a doctor. So Meng, tell us why you want to be a doctor.
My decision to be a doctor kind of took a pretty winding path, but health has always been an emphasis in my life, starting with my grandfather, who is actually a practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine. And growing up, I remember him seeing patients really late into the night, patients who would come to him and knock on our door, and he would take them in, take care of them, provide them with prescriptions or medication that they needed. And just seeing their relieved faces as they left was hugely inspiring to me. At the time, I didn't know that I also wanted to pursue medicine, but he was definitely a role model for me at that time, even at a young age, in my teenage years. Now, moving on to that, I tried to explore other things that I was interested in, and I started to volunteer after my family moved to California, tutoring elementary school kids while I was in high school. And that really instilled a sense of responsibility in me to educate future generations. I thoroughly enjoyed every single interaction I had with one of my students. And I felt that that education was hugely important, no matter what people were doing, to be able to pass on that knowledge and inspire younger generations to pursue what they're interested in terms of their career. As a college student, I spent all of my summers volunteering in downtown LA with the underserved Hispanic community. And that was the catalyst for me to become interested in advocacy, because I saw all the ways in which people lacked a voice in society, and I didn't feel that there was any justice there. And I did what I could to help them to make their voice heard, help them to get the kinds of care they needed, including healthcare when they didn't have insurance, when they weren't able to access healthcare through the normal routes. But the reason why I ultimately decided to become a doctor was because it would be one of the ways in which I could combine all three of those passions that I was just talking about. That emphasis of health that I learned from my grandfather, the emphasis of education that I learned, as a young tutor, and then finally that piece of advocacy. And I truly feel that being a physician would allow me to combine all three of those things to make a difference in my community.
Amazing. Right at the nick of time. Okay, so as you can see there, you guys, Meng was able to take you through the life journey. Obviously, we condensed this for you. Should she have more time to practice, she would elaborate more. We would obviously clear up, ensure that there's, as minimal filler words as possible. And the delivery should still be very sincere and genuine. It shouldn't be robotic. But there you have it, 3 qualities, 3 experiences, and she was able to do that effectively within 2 minutes. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you like this as much as we enjoyed making it for you, go ahead and share it with a friend, and do subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And please ask any questions that you might have in the comments section, and we will see you next time.